the final panel of our 2-day masterclass and MBA en route to market. This is about commercial, building effective sales strategy. Building effective sales strategy. It's a 4-man panel. First is the commercial director of Niger Bev, Anselm Ikeotunye. Is Anselm here? Please come take your seat on the stage. Mr. Anselm of Niger Bev. And next is Anthony Louis Okoje, country head Lafarge Africa. Anthony Louis, it's nice to meet you here today. Thankfully, I know that the Spirit of God will touch you to supply us a truck of Lafarge ready mix. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for him. If you are building house, this is the man. Okay. If you clap for him, he might just order a truckload of Lafarge ready mix for you. Thank you. All right, we're also going to have on that team the CCO of Omni Retail, Omni Biz, Mr. Prahlad. Mr. Prahlad, please come forward, take your seats. Please put your hands together. He's coming all the way from Bombay, Calcutta, New Delhi, Hyderabad. Thank you, thank you, thank you. He's coming from Far East Asia. Yes. And last but not the least is Bola Arotiowa, who's Chief Commercial Officer of Chivita Hollandia. Bola, come take your seats. Thank you. And 3 men, and blessed is she amongst men, who is going to be the moderator. Welcome the HR Director at Total Energies, Brianna Bossman. I have elevated her to the position of director. Yes, take your seats there. Everybody has a microphone. Brianna Adiola Bossman, you can take it from here.
Yes, thank you very much, Jide. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the last panel session for today, which promises to be insightful and exciting. So our panelists here today bring diverse experience across various industries, and we're going to benefit from their insights today. We're going to be discussing, navigating the retail space in West Africa, looking at how organizations can balance traditional trade channels versus digital trade channels that are emerging, and lastly, how FMCGs can build salesforce capabilities, especially in an informal, dominant market. So there's statistics that suggest that informal retail accounts for about 80% of sales, and that increasingly organizations are now they're grappling with questions around WhatsApp commerce, dark markets, distributor incentives, and sales force readiness. So against this backdrop, I'd like to pose my first question to Bola. So social commerce is growing, but informal trade networks remain critical. How are you optimizing for WhatsApp and influencer partnerships without neglecting traditional retail?
Yeah, thank you very much, Diola. As you said, informal retail is still the largest. However, the social space is growing the fastest. So, the fact that the informal is declining does not mean we neglect that. It means that we have to ensure that we're also on top of our game in this channel. Now, because we are talking about trade now, not consumer, I know that a lot of engagement happens with respect to reaching consumer directly through social media. However, there are huge opportunity to use this platform to reach trade. And I'll give an example of what I've been involved with in my previous life using WhatsApp. I think most of what we see happen on WhatsApp is people using their, you have a business WhatsApp registered, and then you use your update to display the things that you sell, and then people reach you, and then you find a way to get your goods to them. However, I think there's a trend that is also fast growing, which I've been involved with, which involve using what we call conversational selling. So that is using chatbot through the WhatsApp channel. And how this works is that you can actually have your business properly set up and connected. So you have your website where you display everything that you do, all your products that you sell with the prices and whatever you're doing, and then have that connected through WhatsApp where you get all your customers registered. So you can actively actually do that either through a team that works for you or some people that you can engage over a short period of time to help you recruit these customers and have them register. So which means in that process, you have their consent to reach them, to use that platform to reach them and transact business with them. And so you can now actively engage with them through WhatsApp, where the moment you can converse with them. So the chatbot is actually what does the job. So where, the moment you get a message, it asks them, tells them what is, or display for the day. If you are running a promotion, it can actually tell them that this promotion is what is ongoing, and you can have all those conversations where connecting them to where you have your products, all displayed. And so through that channel, you can actually get a much higher level of engagement, and you can get your orders and find a way of delivering that to them. So that can happen, whatever the number. I mean, you can do this over thousands or tens of thousands of customers, where consistently you can reach them, and it's just sorting out your logistics that you need to just focus on. So that helps you actually minimize the number of physical contact that your sales team will need to have with the customer. And then you can reach multiple number of people faster that way and get your product across to them. So there's a lot that you can do with WhatsApp, which is much more than what is being done today. Same goes for influencer. Now, when people talk about influencer, what readily comes to mind are the very big influencer that everyone knows. And sometimes that actually can be counterproductive, because sometimes, it feels that influencers are no longer as believable as they are. Sometimes we feel they don't represent the brand that they are influencing. But again, there are people that are like micro-influencers. They are not that big, but the people they serve trust them because they are in particular space. Let's say, for example, if you are let's say you sell seasoning or something that is used to cook, there are influencers that are in that space. They are in culinary. They do a lot of cooking, they develop recipes, and they do all those kind of stuff. And when you have things that are authentic, things that that, what's in the product, what's on the label is what's in the product, you can use those kind of influencers. They may not have 500,000 or 1 million, followers. It may just be, 30,000 followers, 50,000 followers, but those are 30 or 50,000 genuine, authentic followers that will take action on whatever that you are trying to pitch to them, as long as what you are doing actually, delivers what it promises. So, someone that talked earlier about TikTok. It's the fastest growing. There's so much that we can do. So, I think just beyond using the social media the way we know to use it today, there are emerging technology that allows us to make better use of social media, that allows us to reach the trade, that is those that resell products to consumer, and allows us to really reduce the cost to serve.
Thank you very much for that. My next question will be for Pralad. So we've seen the emergence of quick commerce, and it's emerging in cities like Lagos. Would you say this is a scalable channel or still a niche play?
Good afternoon. Happy to be here and lovely to see all of you. The emerging channels, I believe, in today's world of technology, uh, everybody looks at what's the future, how quickly can we get there, and what's the easiest way to get it done. So looking at it from that perspective, I think the future is very bright, and this is what is required both for the FMCG industry, the route to market, and for the products to reach their destinations at the quickest possible time in the most efficient manner. Because today is all about cost. So that's the element that drives this. Apart from that, the other end, from the consumer's end, it's the factor of convenience. So I believe that that's the future. Yes, definitely in cities like Lagos, urbanization is happening rapidly. Urbanization happens in two ways as we see it. One is, existing urban areas get more populated. The geography slowly widens and widens and they become bigger. The small towns, the infrastructure grows, facilities increase, thereby attracting more population to that. So villages become small towns become small cities, cities become metropolis, metropolis becomes mega cities. So that's what's happened across the world, and I don't believe there's any reason that it should not happen in Africa and especially in Nigeria.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so going to Tony Louis, I'm going to pose this question. With so many emerging channels, what's your framework for deciding where to invest versus ignore? Do you take factors like return on investment thresholds, scalability, etc., into consideration?
Thank you very much. I mean, when you talk about framework, there are basics to framework. And these basics sit on a tripod pillar. The first of this pillar will be understanding your target audience. Who are your target audience? Where are your target audience? What is the demographics? Where do they spend their time? And what content do they consume online? What is the behavioral trait of your target audience? If they are online on a platform, what is it that they look out for? What content do they consume and all of that? What is the amount of time they spend when they are online? The second pillar for me will be evaluating the potential channel. Now, what is the reach of this channel? When you say reach, I'm talking about the people that you target. To say this is the audience that I target. How many of them will you actually be able to reach via the channel that you want to choose? What is the relevance of this channel to the person, to the targeted audience that you are looking at? What is the relevance to them? What does it mean for them? How many of them actually engage on these platforms? What is the activity and interactions that happens on this platform? You talked about return on investment. First, what is the cost of even going on that platform or to that channel? And if you are looking at the cost of going into that channel, don't look at the spend alone, the money. You are looking at time, you are looking at resources. What is the conversion potential? How do you know that if I go into this platform, I'll be able to turn the audience to customer? This is very important. How do you even scale? To say, okay, if I start small, this is a platform that I'll be able to scale to the next level. How do you do all of this? By the time you know this, then you now need to prioritize, which is the third pillar. There has to be prioritization and testing of these channels before you use. Now, prioritization means that you must rank all the channels that you intend to look at, the potential channels. Rank them to see which aligns with what you want to do, or your goals, and which you have resources to go into. Once you rank this, you need to have a scale for testing. You need to come up to say, okay, what do I need to test? What are the metrics? What is the KPIs that I'm looking out for? What will make me know that this is something that I want to go with? Does it align with what I want to do? And once you do this, then you need to test. If you test, then you now begin to look at what is the data that is coming out. What is it telling you? Is this something I want to continue with or something that I should drop by the wayside? So for me, what I majorly use has these three things, which is ideation, evaluation, and testing. And it's the bullseye framework. So once you are able to get these three things in place, you now know, is this to go or not to go?
Thank you very much for the response to that question. Please, a round of applause. Thank you. Okay. So again, just coming to Pralad, I mentioned earlier that 80% of sales, come from informal retail. What would you say is your playbook for winning at the tabletop?
See, informal retail, I believe, is the first step to the retail revolution. So as I said, responded to the previous question, geographies are growing, markets are growing. So the first step is informal retail. That's where expansion begins. So it's those retailers that slowly evolve into neighborhood mom and pop stores. Then as the population increases, they become bigger to small supermarkets, bigger supermarkets, and hypermarkets and thereon. As the geography grows, as more demand from the consumers arise in that particular geography, this automatically evolves. Now the question is, from the FMCG segment, from the manufacturers to the consumers, what is the journey the product takes? How many stops are there? Or, how many legs that journey has? Today, there's an ecosystem at the manufacturer's end. There's another ecosystem at the consumer's end. What lies in between is what we define as the route to market. How does the journey of the product, while it starts from the manufacturer and ends up at the consumer? So that's what defines the route to market. Traditionally, they were producers, and they were people who required the product, who used to directly come to the producer and acquire these products and go back. That's when the journey started. Then slowly, as demand increased, as retail evolved, there were pockets where there were a geography or a particular location where a lot of products were available. It was easier for people or consumers to come, acquire those products and come. Then it later evolved, and you started having these products, the most required products or daily life products that are available at your neighborhood stores. So from the manufacturer push, it became the consumer's pull. So from need, it evolved to convenience. Today, I believe that it's convenience that drives the various forms of route to market. So when you look at convenience, today, let's take Nigeria, for example. There was a time not too long ago where the cost of logistics was much lower because fuel prices were, controlled. Yeah. Overnight, your logistics cost tripled because fuel subsidy was removed. Now, a retailer who earlier used to go to a wholesale market or a producer, collect its goods and come back and display it in a store, suddenly realized that a lot of his margins are getting eaten away by the cost of logistics. Now the need arose for someone to satiate that retailer's need of delivering those goods to his doorsteps. So who are the people who can do it? The producers can do it, or the intermediaries in terms of the distributor or the wholesaler can do it. These are the people who can do it traditionally. Now technology has evolved. Suddenly someone has come up, let me use technology to get this done. That's how the concept of a dark store evolved. So nobody knows that there's a store there. But then when a retailer gets onto a platform, he knows if I need these products, I go into this platform, I ask for these products, and then there is a payment mechanism. Once that is done, the transaction is complete. Those goods get delivered at my premises. There's no specific time, there's no frequency. Of course, there would be a economic level of ordering, which is there, which makes sense. But the convenience of sitting in my store, getting my goods delivered at my location, at my preferred time, is what's happening through the dark stores. Otherwise, every Friday I have to hire a van, go to OKRN or international market, go to 15, 20 stores, fill my truck, come back, unload it, display in my store. I've lost a day. I don't talk to customers in a day. I get somebody else to sit in a store. That's again risky. All this is taken away. So it's convenience driven by efficiencies made effective through technology. So this is what a company like ours, which is Omni Retail, actually does. So we are available across Nigeria. We are open to more customers to come into us. We are open to more manufacturers to partner with us. So this is what we are doing, and I believe we are doing it more effectively, and we are succeeding in starting that journey in Nigeria. So it's working, and it's there for everybody to see. We strongly believe in that.
Right.
Thank you.
A round of applause for the gentleman, please. Thank you. So I'll now go to Bola. We were introduced to the concept of Reuben during the last session. So what low-tech sales techniques, such as distributor incentives, are delivering the highest return on investment in the rural areas?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I think, I get the idea of the fact that, people can, especially post-COVID, you can be anywhere and work for anyone, anywhere in the world. And so you have people who live in even rural area or semi-urban area and are working for multinational somewhere in the US or any part of the world. But I think the rural-urban segment divide is also about population centers. So you also have to look at what population of people do you have, in each of these categories, because usually you want to segment communities by population. So the rural area, you have much smaller population and much smaller consumer population. So, and which means to get your products to them will be quite expensive relative to where you have, large clusters of population like urban centers. Now, we know that generally speaking, in the urban centers, the disposable income is generally higher than in the rural area. But where the disposable income is low in the rural area, that's where most often than not, the average price of most company goods are higher. Right, so it's a bit counterintuitive, isn't it? You expect that where people don't have money, then you want to get the products to them at the lowest possible price. And I guess it's all about the value chain and what is the cost to serve. How much does it cost you to get the product to that small community, and that's what goes into the price that you ultimately buy the goods. So how do you get goods to those kind of community, rural areas, we call them, in a way that also allows them to be able to afford what you are selling? So there are different ways that you can do this. Most communities in Nigeria, especially rural areas, they function by market days. Am I right? Most of our rural areas, some every 7 days, some every 5 days, they have market days. And I think those are very big opportunity to optimize the capacity of your whatever you are using to get the goods to them, because you still need a vehicle to physically move goods to those communities. So working with those kind of, having each community days properly segmented will allow you to optimize your distribution asset, make the most of it, and reduce your cost to serve. And then there are other things that you can do, like if, let's say you have tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 towns, and a rural area will be like a tier 3 town, with population of less than 20,000 people. So you may also want to work through semi-distributors in tier 2 towns that sells across many companies' product. So you get a lower cost getting the products to those places, doing it that way rather than having distributors that are exclusive to you. Because again, when they're exclusive to you, what you tend to sell might ultimately make the cost per unit much higher, and that goes into what the consumer have to pay for the goods. So those are some of the things that you can do to bring down the cost. And then another thing that you can also do to get the products to rural area is also to ensure that it is the right product that meets their need. That is the bulk of what goes there. So in terms of what kind of pack sizes, what product and what pack sizes are you going to prioritize in this kind of space? So I think segmenting that way and then taking advantage of ensuring that you've, as much as possible, fully utilize the capacity of your distribution asset will help get the most of your product into rural area at relatively lowest possible cost.
Okay, thank you very much. Can I just say to everybody to please scan the barcode so that we will know which of the questions to take during the Q&A. So shifting our focus to talent retention and salesforce capabilities, to Tony Louis, how are you equipping sales teams with real-time competitor tracking tools to respond to rival channel innovations?
Thanks. Tracking tools to a salesperson is like what a radar is to a ship. It gives direction. It positions you, it tracks. This is what it is. And without it, there is a tendency to miss the way. In fact, when you are dealing with competition, without tracking tools, what happens is that competition will eat your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, all together at the same time. And you go home hungry. When you go home hungry, you know what happens? You grow lean. When you grow lean, you know what happens? Like the kwashiorkor child, you may end up dying without the right protein. This is what it is. And because this is what it is, you need tracking tools to be able to direct the team, refocus them on what they need to do. Now, what are these tracking tools that you need? So like I was saying just now, when I talked about what tracking tools are, if I have to probably define it in a layman way to a sales team, I will say is that protein that you need in your basket of sales food to get a balanced diet. Without it, again, you go hungry. Now, what are these tools that are required? There is the common CROM tools with reports, the customer relationship marketing management tools with reports that will readily tell you what your competition is doing at every point in time. You have the market intelligence tools that gives you insights into prospects, that gives you insights or identifies leads for you, sales leads for you. And they are also able to help you to analyze market trends. You have the sales analytic and performance tools that helps you with your KPIs, metrics that you use in measuring. And we're talking about emerging channels just now. You have the social information tools that you can easily use. A while ago, I know, maybe just to say a little about the Temu story. Everybody probably, whether you have shopped there or not, some have negative comments about Temu, but whether you like it or not, they are growing big time. Yeah. Now, to say a bit about the Temu story and where they are today. Temu knew their targeted audience, and they decided to put up an ad during the Super Bowl. It was a 30 seconds ad, and that ad cost them $7 million US. They had 6 slots. That is $42 million US for 3 minutes. And you know what happened on the same day? Their traffic in their website went up by 25% same day. And you know what happened to Amazon and eBay? Their traffic came down by 5% and 3% respectively. And the story has never been the same. So this is what tracking is. Looking at where you want to get to, looking at what you need to track it, looking at what gives you direction, the tools that you need to use. So for a sales team to be focused at any point in time, they need to ensure that every point in time, in fact, what I advise is that every sales team, the core of it should be the performance team. There should be somebody who keeps reminding them to say, look at the data. From what we have analyzed, this is what it is. Because it's only then that you will see the right opportunities. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. So coming to the Q&A, with 14 votes, we're going to, I'm going to ask you question 1. So in markets with repackaging and single sales, how can brands balance approved pricing with street pricing without losing control or profit? And Bola, please. Yeah, no, the one with the 14 votes. Yeah, please, anyone.
Okay.
We'll start with Bola.
Yeah. So, look, for the most part, trade sell at the price they want to sell, generally speaking. And I guess that's what he's talking about, street pricing. And there's also company recommended price. So the question is, how do you get the majority of your customer to sell at your recommended price rather than the price that they want to sell at? So again, it also depends on what product we are talking about. If it's a product with very high velocity, so competition will help bring down the price, will help bridge the gap between the price they want to sell and the company recommended price. And, one of the fundamentals of selling is pricing. And as a salesperson, when you present to your customer, people respond to why, not what. For the most part, we tell them what we want them to do, but not why we want them to do it and what's the need for them. And when you speak to your customer, when they know what is the need for them, why do I have to take a lower margin on a product versus taking this much higher margin? And the moment you can do the retail maths for them and they see ultimately they make more money, they may be taking much lower margin, but they make more money overall, selling at a lower margin, they will buy into it. So if you cannot use the might of your organization to legislate price, it has to be something in it for them, and they have to know why they have to do it.
Thank you. Prahlad?
I think that's a very good question. See, in today's environment, the consumer has a value proposition in his mind when he seeks the price of a particular product. He needs one product, and he needs it for a reason. So when he needs it for a reason, there's a perceived value. This is what I can afford to pay, or this is what I am willing to pay for the product. Now, once that is understood by the producer or the seller, the mathematics become easier. It's only cracking the solution as to how can I make that product available at this price to the consumer, because he's already fixed a value. So there's a lot of things that we can do at the back end. Let me give you an example. Sabangare market in Kanu. You want cornflakes there. You can go to a shop. It's kept in a sack. There's somebody using a plastic mug and putting it in a nylon and giving it to you. You go to the neighborhood supermarket. You get it well packaged in a Kellogg's box. It's cornflakes. So it's what value the consumer attributes in his mind and what he's willing to give for that product for whatever reason he has in mind. So once that value is understood by the seller, then he decides what's the route he must take, what's the packaging he must take, how efficiently his delivery economics should work, while keeping the end quality of the product, the stuff that's actually consumed and valued by the consumer. All the rest is perception. The proof of the pudding is in eating, right? It's not in looking. It's not how beautiful it looks. It's not about how well it's packaged. All that takes you only to the first step. But if you want repeat orders, if you want, if you want a reputation for the product, then there must be a consistent quality that meets the expectation of the consumer. So there's many routes that we can take. It depends upon what's the product you're selling, what's the consumer base that you're addressing, and how you make those ends meet. That's for every company to decide based on, where, how, and why they are placed in that particular product category. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. And finally, Tony Louis.
Okay, thanks. So just to say that approved pricing versus street pricing, I see it as a double-edged sword. Why? Because if the street decides to price much higher, you will find out that people may not even buy that product as much as they should. If they price it much lower, you will see that people begin to think that probably the value that is coming out of it is not what it's supposed to be. So either way, you need to be very careful how you manage this. And I think the best way to manage this is to be in charge of your channel. You must manage your you must have authorized channels for sales, and you must manage it very well. If you have authorized channels and you have recommended probably retail price, as the case may be. For instance, you see some Coca-Cola bottles on the street, you are seeing RORP of so amount. Why? They are trying to manage, what people sell to people and all of that. It doesn't mean you must get it at that price. But again, if you have authorized channels, it's much easier. This is just to add to what Prahlad and my brother has talked about. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So we have some more time, so we'll take one more question and that will be it for this session. So we'll take the question with 6 votes. Can we have it on the board, please? On the screen. Or I'll just read it while we're waiting. So what's the best way to structure distributor rewards in West Africa? Cash for hitting targets or non-cash perks like branded trucks and stock priority? So I'll start with Prahlad.
Thank you.
That's the question on the screen.
Very interesting question. How do you reward your business partners that take your product to the market? Again, this is channel specific. What's the route that your product takes to reach the end consumer? In this, you have the e-commerce platforms. the traditional route, which is the wholesaler, retailer, consumer, and then you have platforms like the dark stores. Every channel, I think, has a different need, and your reward should be based on addressing those needs. For example, everybody does business for profit. So one reward would be the base profit. Then you can talk about increasing the volumes, motivate people in the push side of the, of the mechanism to buy more so that he makes that extra effort to sell more. So the more you buy, the more you make. That's the second platform. The third is you could reward probably a retailer by creating a space within his retail outlet, or to make his business premises better looking, more bright, more professional, so that he attracts more consumers into the retail platform. So that would be a cash component, a kind component, a knowledge component, and also technology component. So there are various ways of rewarding retailers. The base is, of course, cash, but then the additional layers that you put on it, depending on the need of the channel, would actually drive more traffic, thereby increasing volumes. So reward is a very, very layered structure, and those layers depend upon what channel you use, what RTM you focus on in delivering your product to the consumers. And today with technology, there are a lot of things that you can do in terms of rewards other than cash that make it very, very attractive. Because ultimately, a retailer who sells your product to the consumer wants to increase his volumes. So you drive more traffic, enable him to increase volumes. One thing you can do by reducing prices. Second, you can do by making his premises more attractive. Third, you can do it by creating more convenience driven by technology for his consumer to access what is there in his store. So the multiple options, all of which are good depending on the channel that you drive.
Thank you very much. Tony Louis, please.
Okay, thanks. So I agree with Prahlad to a very large extent, especially as it concerns the need to by channel. But however, we must realize that this is a big part of commercial policy for every organization, reward to distributors. And I tell you, most times whatever you do to distributors, they will ask for more. You may decide that it's only cash that you want to do. As you are doing cash and they see that competition is doing trucks or some other thing to their customers, you will hear you didn't give us truck. They would have forgotten that you gave cash. So one needs to be very flexible when it comes to these policies. For me, I advise to strike a balance between the two. What is it that you want to do? Yes, because every distributor is out there because of the profit that they want to make. They will want the cash. But do they actually need all these branded trucks to also do the distribution? And probably at the end of the day, which helps you to move more of your product? Yes, they do. So I advise you strike a balance between both in your commercial policies. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And finally, Bola.
Yeah, I'm actually more in favor of more of non-cash based incentive, apart from the distributor trade terms, which talks about rebate, commission, whether it is monthly or quarterly or whatever it is. But things outside of that, I'm more in favor of non-cash incentive. And the reason is this. What I've seen over time is that when you offer customer cash, they most often than not use that same money to fight themselves rather than fight competition by cutting price. And it becomes a race to the bottom. And for the most part, you may end up not actually getting the benefit that you are trying to get. from what you are trying to do. And when customer competes among themselves for sales by cutting price, what happens is that it takes much longer for you to recover because you need to get back to the normal price, right? But now they've cut the price below where it needs to be, and then you need to start selling that normal price, and by the time you are starting again, your sales is not doing so well, then you give them another round of cash for them to buy more. So I'm more in favor of more non-cash based incentive, but rather to incentivize them by giving them things that will enhance their business operation, things that will, either help improve distribution, help improve the process in their business. There was one I've done just last year where, as part of the incentive, you give the customers solar energy to power their premises, which they will need. Now, in their mind, they are not going to work that into the price of the goods when they are selling, but it's also something that they need. It's something that also that allows them to be better at what they do. So I think when you're incentivizing customer outside of their normal trade term, I tend to feel more of non-cash-based incentives.
Thank you. A round of applause for our panelists, please. Thank you so much. So we've come to the end of the session. I would like to say a big thank you to you for the insights that you shared today. And just a few key takeaways for us. So from Bola, you talked about how FMCGs must balance emerging digital channels with traditional retail to maximize reach and return on investment. Prahlad, you said to win in the informal retail, FMCGs should segment, prioritize outlets, and leverage localized merchandising, and also invest in retailer training and support. And finally, Tony Louis, you talked about equipping sales teams with digital tools, real-time market insights, and incentives that enhance performance. Thank you very much.
And thank you to you, Madam Moderator. You did a good job. And for those who don't know,